genre.
Welcome back to the Doctor's Companion presents Doctor Who The Long Way Around, the weekly podcast where we review and discuss every episode of Doctor Who, one doctor at a time. I'm Scott Corelli.
I'm Cassandra Fredrickson.
And I'm Nick Jimenez.
And today on the show, we will be discussing Earthshock, which is the fifth Doctor's sixth story. And Earthshock comes to us from writer Eric Sayward and director Peter Grimwade. Mm-hmm. Peter Grimwade had previously done Kinda, which is, a goodie. We talked about that back, a couple seasons ago. And yeah, this is the last story that Eric Sayward has a writing credit for, I think, because this was written in the transition of him becoming script editor, and at the time BBC had a rule that script editors could not write episodes of the shows that they were script editing for guild reasons, I guess. I'm not sure. I'm not totally sure what all the rules were and why they were in place, but that was a thing. So he would be taking over for the previous script editor, who was Anthony Root. This was Anthony Root's final script editing gig, and the reality of the situation was that he had actually already left at this point, but John Nathan Turner and Eric Sayward and Anthony Root agreed that Eric Sayward had to write this episode for reasons I'll get into in a second. And so they basically sent him the script. Anthony Root changed a couple of things, and then was like, okay, I script edited it. just so that they weren't technically breaking any rules, but they were certainly bending all of them in order to get Eric Sayward to write this. The reason that Eric Sayward had to write this story was because originally this story was going to be a story called The Enemy Within, which was going to be written by well-regarded science fiction author Christopher Priest. Christopher Priest being most well-known for writing the original novel, The Prestige, which, would later become a Christopher Nolan film, of course. So he had actually been, he had been approached and wrote two separate Doctor Who stories throughout, the last, 3 years or something like that. And in both times, his stories were, he wrote them and then stuff happened and they didn't end up getting produced. The first story was commissioned by Douglas Adams during the E-Space trilogy of stories. His was going to be the capper on that, and it was going to be the departure of K9 and Romana. Romana, of course, being a character that Nick has not met yet.
Nope.
And won't meet for quite a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like to think that far ahead on the show.
Yeah. So Douglas Adams actually picked up his first, the first thing, and this was a story called Sealed Orders, and it was going to be a political thriller set on Gallifrey, in which the Doctor is seemingly ordered by Gallifrey High Command to kill Romana by the Time Lords. So
Wow.
It was gonna be like a crazy, but yeah, it's seemingly, obviously there was gonna be like some like sketchy stuff going on, and that it wasn't actually that,
Right.
but that was going to be the story, a story called Sealed Orders, and he wrote it, and everyone got the scripts and agreed that they were unproducible, and
Wow.
and we're like, okay, well, we're not gonna make these, so we're gonna do this other story at the end of the eSpace series. So I'm sure we'll talk about this again in like a decade from now when we get there.
God.
But this story, The Enemy Within, again, I Christopher Priest, who obviously has trouble writing scripts, which seems to be his issue, is that he overwrites scripts and writes things that you literally can't show on screen because he's used to writing as a novelist, and
Right.
he's just a bad script writer. And to the point where he wrote this second time, they tried to give him another go with this Enemy Within storyline, and he wrote the first episode, and they were like, "Hey, you're doing it again, man. Like you have to write it like this." And either Anthony Root or Eric Sayward or someone, I think it was Anthony Root, actually rewrote one of his episode scripts to show him what they're supposed to look like, and he was so offended that he quit.
Yeah.
But the Enemy Within was going to be a storyline about this one. I'm glad doesn't happen. But I do like where Christopher Priest's head is at. This story was going to actually take place entirely in the TARDIS, and there was going to be a reveal of what the creature is that actually runs the TARDIS. That was going to be like what it was, the Enemy Within, and it was in fact going to kill Adric. That was also one of the things.
It was non-negotiable.
So the TARDIS was actually going to kill Adric.
I'll do it myself.
in the Christopher Priest story. But yeah, I mean, it's obvious to me that Christopher Priest had an interest in Time Lord mythology and, Gallifrey and stuff like that.
Same,
and,
bro.
Yeah, right. So like, I liked where his head is at. I do. Maybe they weren't executed in the best way, but I like seeing a writer coming into the show and being like, let's look into this stuff.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's kind of cool. But anyway, so he left, and they didn't have a script, so that's why they needed to bring in Eric Sayward to write this, because he was like, I mean, I could turn this out. I mean, that's not a problem. And so what they did was his contract as script editor was going to begin on July 1st, and so they commissioned him to write Earthshock on June 29th. So as not to upset the higher ups. And they commissioned him to write them. But of course, he didn't get the scripts in until well after he was, starting his tenure as script editor. So that's how this story sort of came about. As far as the Adric situation, John Nathan Turner, the producer, decided to write out Adric because he felt that the character was unsuccessful, and he felt that actor Matthew Waterhouse had been a bit of an awkward presence on set and had a few incidents involving him and the other cast members and directors and things like that. And so everyone just sort of agreed that it would be best if he left. Well, everyone except for Matthew Waterhouse, who basically threw a gigantic fit when he found out that Adric was going to be killed, because it meant that he would never be able to return to the show. And then the only thing that calmed him down was that John Nathan Turner explained to him, yes, but it's a time travel show, so you could always come back from before you died.
Yeah.
So
That's
he was
funny.
like, well, okay. So they killed him. Yeah, because Jonathan Turner was like, well, he felt that Adric, it said he felt that Adric did not lend himself to a traditional departure scenario. Instead, he should just be killed off.
Oh my god.
This would be the first time that a major companion had ever been killed off. There was a few short-lived companions during season 3's the Daleks' Master Plan that were killed off, but they were like barely companions. Like they were only technically companions.
Yeah.
So nothing like this had ever happened before. And so that was a big deal. Also, the return of the Cybermen was a big deal because this was the first time that the Cybermen had been in the show since the story that we talked about last season on The Long Way Around, Revenge of the Cybermen in 1975. So this was, 7 years later that they were getting around to bringing the Cybermen back. So this was a really big deal, and John Nathan Turner decided to keep it a secret. And so they put up, usually when in the studio, they had, the studios where they shot Doctor Who, they had, tours coming through and things like that. And so there was this area, this catwalk area above each studio where the tours would walk and they would see them shooting Doctor Who and stuff like that. And it was like a fun thing for the people on the tour. But while they were filming this story, they actually blocked up all of the glass so that the tour groups couldn't see what they were shooting because he wanted it to stay a secret.
That's
that
cool.
That they were coming back. And it's like, kind of one of the only times that like a major villain like the Daleks or the Cybermen were in the show and they didn't put them in the title of the episode. So the fact that the Cybermen show up at the end of episode 1 is like a huge reveal. And actually, after the first episode of Earthshock, the subsequent episodes and all of the episodes in Time Flight, the season finale of this season, were the highest rated episodes of Doctor Who to air during John Nathan Turner's tenure as producer. So it was a really big deal that this happened. Like this story was crazy. No one had ever seen anything like this on Doctor Who before. And the Cybermen showing up was a huge shock. And on top of everything else, Eric Sayward and John Nathan Turner sort of agreed and got the director to agree to it as well, that they wanted it to have, they wanted it to be paced more like a film. And so most stories would have somewhere between 40 and 60 scenes to shoot, and Earthshock has over 80. Because they wanted they wanted the scenes to be shorter and they wanted it to be more fast paced and move a little quicker. And honestly, I think it pays off. I think this is one of the better paced stories in Peter Davison's run. I think.
I agree.
It's really, really well paced. And so it was, that's sort of like how it came about. And it's a real, it's so funny because it is a crazy story, but watching it this time, like I've probably seen this story probably more than any other Peter Davison story, except for maybe, definitely his final story, Caves of Androzani. But I've seen this a bunch of times just incidentally. And I feel like every time I watch it, I like it more. And this time watching it, I was really impressed with knowing how quickly they had to sort of throw this together, and that Eric Sayward was under the extra pressure of becoming script editor at the same time as he was writing this story. I'm really impressed with it structurally and how well it sets things up and pays them off. Like it really comes together really, really well, despite the fact that like it's an insane story. Like it's totally insane, but it really holds together well. And I think that's really impressive. And in fact, like, between this and his other story, the one about the fires of London. What is that story called?
Oh,
Cass?
The Visitation.
Yeah, The Visitation. Between this and The Visitation, it really saddens me that Eric Sayward became script editor, because I kind of wish he had just continued writing episodes. Because I think he's a better story writer than he is a script editor.
Well, he's like,
we will see.
he's like
very quickly.
he's like the pre-Moffat, right? Like,
Yeah.
all of his stories are really good, and then he becomes the head guy, and it's just like, ooh, yikes. So
Right. And part of that too with him is that he didn't have as much control over the show as he wanted it to, because like creative politics on Doctor Who were just very strange back then, where you had like, the script editor, but then like the producer also has like a lot of creative control, which is weird. And now it's different. Now it's the script editor that has all the creative control, and the producer is just doing their best to, give that person their vision, execute that vision, which is probably how it should be. And the reason that we get into so many problems, I think, in here is that, say what you will, I think we all love Colin Baker for who he is. But he hated Colin Baker, and he didn't want him to play the Doctor, and he didn't want to write that guy. And he was forced to by John Nathan Turner, because that's who he decided was going to be the next Doctor, and that does suck. Like if you're the script editor and you're stuck with an actor you don't want playing the role, like that sucks. You don't have to throw a little baby fit about it like he did. But
right, you could be like a professional.
You could be a professional, absolutely. But it is weird.
It's ironic throwing a fit about the Sixth Doctor, which is exactly something the Sixth Doctor would do.
It's true. That's actually, wow. I don't think I ever put that together before. I think he has more in common with the Sixth Doctor than he'd like to admit. And then the last bit, of course, is the closing credits to episode 4 being silent. That's the first and only time in the history of Doctor Who that the episode has ended in silence.
That's so melodramatic.
It's never happened before. Well, the death of the dinosaurs is melodramatic. Rest in peace, dinosaurs.
I feel like worse things have happened since.
Have they?
I don't know. I mean, like, something that feels like something you do when like a real person passes away.
As opposed to Adric.
Yeah, as opposed to Adric. Like maybe when the actor that played the Brigadier passed, if they had done like a 20 seconds of silent credits or whatever.
Yeah.
But like true. I get is Adric the first companion to bite it in the Line of Duty?
Yes.
Okay.
Sort of.
Sure.
Sort of. Yeah.
Clean. I mean, Susan's, on a beach in Cuba somewhere.
Right. In her fourth incarnation, I'm sure.
Sure.
Anyway. So that's Earthshock. Earthshock Part 1. Written by Eric Sayward. Directed by Peter Grimwade. Produced by John Nathan Turner. Script edited by Anthony Root. Air date 8th of March, 1982. A scientific expedition investigating nearby caves for fossil remains is cut short when the team disappears. The only survivor, Professor Kyle, works with an investigation team led by Lieutenant Scott. Scanning equipment directed at the cave to detect life forms is coming back negative, suggesting that the expedition team are all dead. Kyle agrees to use her knowledge of the tunnels to direct Scott and his team into the caves to find out what happened. In the TARDIS, Adric declares his desire to return to his home planet of Pterodon in E-space, which the Doctor proclaims is not possible. But Adric is insistent that he can calculate the coordinates safely, much to the Doctor's chagrin. Adric begins his calculations as the TARDIS lands inside the cave. The Doctor goes for a walk in the caves with Tegan and Nyssa, causing life forms to suddenly appear on the scanners outside looking for survivors. Lieutenant Scott instantly assumes that the newcomers must be responsible for the expedition deaths. His squad splits up and is attacked by dark figures, picking off the team members one by one. Scott and the remainder of his squad come across the Doctor and his companions and capture them. Scott accuses the Doctor of the murders, and the Doctor tries to convince him otherwise. They discover the remains of the scientists as well as a metal hatch which begins to emit a trilling sound. Scott orders the Doctor to open the hatch, but the dark figures arrive and begin to attack as everyone dives for cover. The Doctor realizes that the attackers are androids, which is why they did not show up on the scans. The androids appear to be defending the hatch and shrug off their counterattacks. As an android focuses its gaze on the Doctor, the image is transmitted elsewhere to their masters, the Cybermen, and the Cyber leader orders the androids to destroy them. So, part 1 of Earthshock, we are back on planet Rock Quarry, every Doctor Who fan's favorite planet.
Mm-hmm.
And this woman who's part of like a excavation team is working with like this sort of local military or security or whatever, and telling them that her team got attacked and she got away. But it's the team is like very untrusting of her, and seem to believe, and this is an ongoing thing in this story, is like lots of people believe that innocent people can't possibly be victims, they must be the murderer. That happens a lot in this story. But they think this poor woman murdered her team and ran out of there, and now she's going to kill them too. But really, it's just these android dudes that they kind of look like the android from The Day the Earth Stood Still.
Yes, good call.
Yeah. It's,
I was going to say they look like Daft Punk, but okay.
But I think you're both right.
Yeah, no, I think that's both true. Yeah,
I actually
I
think you only think Daft Punk because there's just two of them.
Yeah, they're like goth Daft Punk. Like they're all in black.
Like if Random Access Memories was sort of paying tribute to like 70s disco electronic. So their next album, they're like, now we're gonna do like London like goth like. That'd be great. I actually kind of prefer this design to I don't know, I wouldn't mind seeing like a cool reboot of like this look on androids. I don't know, I was kind of I miss them in future episodes.
Yeah, I mean, I do think it would be cool if like in like a future Doctor Who story at some point we meet, rather than always meeting contemporary Cybermen, if we met Cybermen from like a million years in the future and they look like super sleek.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Why did we ever look like that?
Right. Yeah. And like, maybe like, oh man, wouldn't that be, oh man, I don't even want to say it because like, well, I'll never get to write for Doctor Who. No, wouldn't it be cool if like, he met Cybermen from like, you know, like millions of years in the future, and they actually like are better. Like they're like just people now, and they're better, and like
they're like elves in Tolkien.
Yeah, they've just like become like better humans, and the Doctor's like, oh, that's what you eventually upgrade to. That's
you're like humans. You just were really, really crappy.
Right.
In your first like million years of existing.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you know, it was fine that you wanted to be Cybermen. You just didn't need to be rapey about it like you were. You know, just do it to yourselves. You don't need to kidnap other people and do it. Just do it to yourselves.
Not like those filthy Daleks. Like, oh no, there's still a little bit in there.
So this takes us back to the TARDIS where Adric is pouting because everyone makes fun of him. And he doesn't want to read the stupid Black Orchid book because it's stupid, and what does he care about Black Orchids and the adventure they were just on?
I know I don't.
and he's just like, he basically says, I'm tired of doing this. I want to go home. And the doctor gets very upset because he's like, we agreed you can never go home because you live in E-space and we're never going back there because it's really hard to get there. And it's dangerous and I don't want to do it. And Adric is just like, but I, you know, I'm a math guy. I could do the math. I got this.
I have a medal for mathematical excellence.
Yes. But there's this really great bit where he's just like, well, I'm going to figure out how to do it. And then I'm going to show you my calculations and you'll believe me. And he's like, and then he says this line, which I was like, oh man, that is a really, really nice line for foreshadowing. Like, I was like, that's really well written. Where the doctor says, like, do whatever you want, but I'm not going to wait around while you plot a course to your own destruction.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh boy, that's good. I was like, wow, that's really good. And like, just imagine watching this weekly, you know, and you know, they set up that ending right there. Like, that was pretty good. I like that a lot.
Yeah, no, for sure.
But yeah, I mean, this whole bit is just like, it's just the doctor and Adric bickering like a married couple, and it's as annoying as it is adorable. Like, I don't know. Like,
you can kind of, I guess I can sympathize with Adric, but like the only, like, the answer to all of the questions that he's throwing at the doctor is like, you know, well, you kind of suck, Adric. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, well, how come not me? Come on, man.
I don't want to talk to you. Look how you're talking. Like, God. So they end up in the caves where the other people are, and the doctor and the others are sort of like walking around while Adric stays in the TARDIS and does his math equations to try and get home. And it just feels like he's playing one of those like math games you would play in like elementary school, where it's like, do these math problems to get yourself home, you know, like.
Those are his goth records.
Like, yeah, that's what I imagine he's doing. Like, when he's doing these math things, I imagine he's playing like one of those math games. So
you get to, at the end, you get to send away for a medal for mathematical excellence.
Yeah. You have won the medal for mathematical excellence.
Oh my God.
Oh, I did it.
Genius.
So they're walking around the cave while Adric is doing his thing in the TARDIS, and they start seeing all of these like dinosaur fossils and stuff, and they just start talking about dinosaurs. And I was this like relatively new science at the time, like
what, dinosaurs? No.
Yeah.
No. I mean, maybe they were going through like a resurgence, but I mean, I really want to say modern paleontology, as we understand it, kind of came around in like the early 1900s.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Maybe a little earlier.
Because like the way they're talking about it, it's like when in Classic Who, when they talk about some sort of new technology that everyone is excited about, and they're talking about it like it's new technology, and it's like, guys, you're just like hella dating the show.
Right. It's like how the 13th Doctor is probably going to say quantum a lot next year.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah, no, it's just it's just interesting how much they were talking about it. But yeah, I mean, obviously it's a setup for stuff that's going to happen later. But
like adventures
just
on
in
a
case,
certain spaceship.
Yeah, well, just in case you've never heard of dinosaurs and how they died or what happened to them.
The show's for kids. You know,
I guess that's true. Fair enough.
What the hell's a dinosaur?
It's easy to forget that sometimes. But so I do like the line where the doctor's like, yeah, I've always wondered what it was that killed the dinosaurs exactly, but I've never gone back to check it out. And I was like, well, you're about to find out.
Is beyond his imagination.
But it involves math and
bravery.
A stubborn child. So this was also the point of which I just realized that I want to visit the alternate universe where Michael Crichton never wrote Jurassic Park the novel and just wrote an episode of Doctor Who called Jurassic Park.
Oh my God.
Yeah, John Hammond.
It's such a Doctor Who story, Jurassic Park.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like John Hammond invites the Doctor to like come to his park, and then and Ian Malcolm is a very like, you know, like, this is BS.
I think Ian Malcolm, like, you would take Ian Malcolm out and that would be the Doctor.
Yeah, for sure. Like, like he kind of fills that role.
Yeah, just because you could doesn't mean you should. Like, that's such a Doctor thing. Like, I can imagine Peter Capaldi in Jurassic Park playing the Goldblum part.
My God. Now I'm just imagining Jeff Goldblum as the Doctor, just straight up, and it's the greatest thing.
Isn't he? Wasn't he in you know, whatever constitutes canon for that? Isn't he canon, like one of the Inspector Spacetimes?
Oh yeah, yes. I want to say, because it's too perfect to not be.
Yeah, I feel like he is, or maybe I'm thinking of like someone. I read where someone like was like in an alternate universe where Sydney, what's his face, came to work on American television instead of the BBC and created Doctor Who over here. What would be the American Doctors? And maybe he was in that list. That's entirely possible.
You know what's crazy is I feel like if you get like, you know, late 80s Jeff Goldblum as the Doctor or 2018 Goldblum as the Doctor, those are two very different. Those could each be their own.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. Very true. Well, I mean, what you have is you have 80s Goldblum, 90s Goldblum Doctor, and then you have today's Goldblum as like the dude that shows up, the curator that shows up in the museum at the end of the Doctor.
Except less unsettling.
Right, less unsettling. Where he just goes, and then taps his nose and then just walks away.
Have a great time. Have a great time.
Oh my God.
Yeah. he would be the fourth Doctor equivalent, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeff Goldblum. Yeah.
Oh, that scene was so weird.
It sure was.
It's like, you know, when you're a kid and there's that one old person that you like, oh no, like, I ran into them and my mom's not here.
Oh no. So
the dinosaurs.
So this and then we get you know, aggro military guy who's just like, you killed all of her friends, and she's like, well, I don't know if that's true. And he's like, no, they did. They're bad people. You should be ashamed of yourselves. And they're like, we just got here, dude, like, chill out. Which is, again, this is a continuing thread through this story. It's the one part of the story I could do without, I feel like, is all of the aggro people. A lot of
it's a little running in place.
That's just Eric Sayward's like trademark, is just like aggro 80s machismo.
Yeah, true.
But
very true.
Oh well.
Yeah. But sometimes it works better than others. Like, I mean, you know, and I think it's fine here. It's not as annoying as it gets later in his tenure as script editor.
Yeah.
But it's still just like, all right, man, like, not every guy needs to act like that. Like, he can have reason. I don't know.
Right. Like, this isn't a Dwayne Johnson movie. I know he doesn't know who that is yet, but like, you know, the equivalent.
So yeah, and then we get the Cybermen reveal, which, like I was saying in the behind the scenes thing, was a complete reveal for viewers. They had absolutely no idea that the Cybermen were going to be making their triumphant return here after 7 years off of the show.
It was a surprise for me.
Yeah, that's great. I'm so glad that
Nice.
was a surprise for you. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, no, it was a surprise for everyone. So that's really cool.
Welcome to the 80s, Cybermen.
Welcome to the 80s. You have moon boots now.
Oh, a weird human mouth that you can kind of see.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that though.
It's great. I love it.
I really love it. I think these might be my Mondas Cybermen are always going to be my favorite because they're just so creepy and weird.
Yeah,
But
to me, the creepier the Cybermen is when you are reminded that there is a human body under there.
yeah, totally.
That to me is when the Cybermen are at their most like, oh God, you know.
Yeah. So I think this is probably like my second or third favorite design for the Cybermen. Just because I love that silver flappy chin under the glass case. It's so creepy. It's really creepy. Earthshock Part 2, written by Eric Sayward, directed by Peter Grimwade, produced by John Nathan Turner, script edited by Anthony Root, air date 9th of March, 1982. Adric wanders out of the TARDIS trying to locate the Doctor. He's able to distract one of the androids long enough for Scott and his team to destroy them. The Doctor runs back to the TARDIS and is able to jam the transmission. Tegan and Nyssa usher the rest back into the TARDIS where they will be safe as the Doctor and Adric open the hatch to discover an explosive device within, but they manage to disarm the bomb before it detonates. The Cybermen are puzzled as to why the bomb failed to detonate. Reviewing the recorded images transmitted by the androids, they see the TARDIS and realize that the Doctor is involved, and begin to review their past encounters with the Time Lord. Meanwhile, out in space, a freighter is being inspected by Earth security forces while on its way to deliver its cargo. In an attempt to get to the bottom of the android attack and find the source of the signal transmission, the Doctor and Adric arrive on board to explore the freighter. They are spotted on camera by a crew member named Berger, who tells the captain, a middle-aged woman named Briggs, that they should sound the alarm. The Doctor and Adric hear the alarm and start back towards the TARDIS. Hearing screams, however, Adric and the Doctor run to investigate. Adric spots the bodies of two crewmen and goes to examine the bodies. Unknown to them, another crew member named Ringway arrives behind them. He raises his gun and states, "On this ship, we execute murderers." So, episode 2, or as I like to call it, Adric to the rescue. Adric realizes stuff's going on, and he gets out of the TARDIS and is like, "There's a bomb, and we got to stop it." And so they're getting like attacked by the Cybermen, and so he comes out of the woodwork and helps them take out one. And there's that great bit where the guy's like, "Who is that child?" And he's like, "That's Adric." Like the Doctor's offended
so
that
proud.
this random guy's never heard of Adric.
He's a mathematical champion. The Doctor really is such a mom, and that like in their house, he's like, "You're nothing. I don't trust you." But then as soon as someone else is like, "Who's that?" It's like, "That is my son," and he's brilliant, and he has a medal.
Yeah. He's quite good at maths. What does that have to do with what he's doing now? My God. Yeah, and so like the Cybermen are just like, okay, they just killed like two of our guys. Like who is this guy? And so they start looking him up, and they realize that he's the Doctor, and they watch videos of the first, second, and fourth Doctor ruining them in the past.
Just all the time he dunked on us.
Yeah. It's like, oh, it looks like he's regenerated again. And he's going to dunk on us again, but we're not going to let him, are we, boys?
This must have been a real treat how readily available were like past episodes at this
Not
point?
at all. Not at all.
So that must have been so crazy seeing like them all in. You can kind of tell because they really do make a point of like, this is the part where we catch everyone up with the history of the Doctor and the Cybermen, you know?
Right. Yeah, because I mean, this was a big deal because they were talking about it in the behind the scenes thing. I didn't really mention it because it's not much of a story, but they did mention this in the behind the scenes material that I was checking out, and they said that every time they did this, it was such a huge hit with the fans because, yeah, like you said, those stories aren't readily available at this point, and so getting to see those old Doctors, the older fans were just like, "Oh, look at them!" Like, they hadn't seen these past Doctors in a really long time, especially the first and second Doctor, obviously. Mm-hmm. And so it was a nice treat for everybody. So so they're like, all right, well, we got to kill that guy for sure.
But first we make him suffer, which I'm like, that's the most anti-Cyberman thing I've ever heard. Like,
twist the knife, like we always say.
No, but you know what though? All things considered, I really do like the personality that they gave these Cybermen, because like, even though they're not supposed to have emotions, like I kind of like them better like this, because while they don't stand out amongst like other Doctor Who villains as much, I like that they stand out more as opposite of the Daleks. Because like, my problem with the Daleks versus the Cybermen is like, they're both like kind of samey, but like one is just a little more aggro than the other one. But they're both kind of like, they both talk kind of monotony and robotic sounding.
Yeah,
and
they both hate individuality.
Right.
Flaws.
Exactly. Yeah. So like, this is just like, I don't know, it was like kind of refreshing to have like this other version of Cybermen. Because that's the other reason why I like the Monda Cybermen so much, is that they talk really differently too. Mm-hmm. And I like that about them. I just really don't like New Who Cybermen, I think, is my problem.
Okay.
No, and in fact, I'm already kind of like realizing that just with I think this is my second classic Cybermen story.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, I'm like starting to see why they were iconic in the first place. Because my only frame of reference for so long was New Who, and I kind of grew to dread Cybermen episodes, to be honest.
Yeah, same, absolutely. So yeah, so then everybody is they're sort of they find like they find the ship, and they are going to go like investigate this ship that's over here in the rock quarry in the cave thingy. And they're like scoping that out. And then they find Adric and the Doctor stumble on two dead bodies. And that guy shows up and he's like, on this ship, we execute murderers. They're like, oh man. Again, just everyone jumping to the easiest conclusions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because,
I don't know about you guys, but like if I ever kill someone, I definitely plan on just kneeling down in front of them and just staring at it.
And very obviously saying, let's leave before we're framed for the murder. And then
Yeah. No, for sure. That's exactly what I'll do if that ever happens. If I ever find myself in that situation, that's what I'm going to do. Because I feel like that's what murderers do, right? They kill the person. They just crouch down next to the body and they just stare at it until someone catches them, right? That's how that works.
Obviously.
Oh, man.
I saw it in Doctor Who, therefore it's true.
Dr. True.
God, I love the... Dr. True. Jesus. Shout out to the, really angry lady captain that just wants to take a nap and get paid. I love her so much, and she's like the highlight of the story for me.
Oh, she's great. And there's this great bit when she first comes on the ship, and that guy calls her mom, and I'm just like, oh yeah, because he's British and that's how they pronounce ma'am. Mm-hmm. They pronounce it mom. Okay. And then she's like, what have I told you about calling me mom when I'm your working captain? He's like, oh, sorry, captain.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, like that's literally your son? Like, was that like a British language joke? Like I was really baffled by that exchange.
Well, I think because like captain is a gender neutral term, and ma'am might seem like it's respectful, but it's not like she's the captain. Like you need to.
Oh, okay. So that is what it was. He wasn't like literally her son.
No. Because then he would say mum instead of mom.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, no, every time I watch Skyfall at the beginning of it, there's a part where he's like, yes, mom. And I'm like, what? You just called M your mom? No, that's my American ear.
Yes, mom. I mean, M. Like just.
Ma'am.
Oh wow! They put all of that. That they put all that subtext. They just made a text just now, didn't they?
Yes, mummy.
Yes, yes, mummy. Please be proud of me, mummy. Just tell me who to kill. I'll do it for you, mummy. Anyway.
Not your mother, 007.
Very good, James. You're a good boy, James.
Good boy, James. Where are you? What have you done?
Oh, man. Earthshock, Part 3. Written by Eric Sayward, directed by Peter Grimwade, produced by John Nathan Turner, script edited by Anthony Root, air date 15th of March, 1982. While Ringway escorts the Doctor and Adric to the bridge of the freighter to meet the captain, Lieutenant Scott announces that he wants to go find the Doctor. Tegan, also wishing to help, goes with Scott and his remaining soldiers. The Cyber leader decides that it is time to take control of the freighter and orders a unit of Cybermen to be activated. The unit marches on the bridge and is spotted on one of the monitors. The captain orders a blockade, but the Cybermen effortlessly blast through it. At the same time, Ringway turns on the crew and announces that he now works for the Cybermen. The Doctor disarms him and closes the bridge door before the Cybermen can get inside. The captain seems confident that they can hold out until they get back to Earth, as there are only a few Cybermen, but soon realizes that they are actually carrying 15,000 cargo containers full of Cybermen. The Cyber leader has his troops attack the bridge door with a thermal lance. Just as a Cyberman breaks through, the Doctor uses antimatter to stabilize the door, resulting in the Cyberman getting fused into the door. The Cyber leader detonates explosives on the other bridge door, however, and the Cybermen take the bridge. The Doctor and the crew members all watch as the additional Cybermen are revived in order to deal with the remaining humans. The Doctor looks on in horror as thousands of Cybermen march the corridors of the freighter. So episode 3, we find out that the Cybermen are stowaways on the ship because they're planning on taking it over. And not only are they like stowaways, but they're also like storing like their reinforcements in like boxes like scattered around the ship. I referenced it earlier, but like I love their stupid cyber Ugg boots. They're so awesome. I love it so much. I love it when this show, when like a new technology, I mean, like this is what we were talking about when I was referencing the dinosaurs thing. It's like the bubble wrap thing, where it's like, there's this new thing called bubble wrap that you use to protect things, but it's so weird looking that if we just like paint it, we can like make an alien out of it. And then it's just so silly in the Ark of Space when they're being attacked by a bubble wrap monster. And here, like these are moon boots, like 80s child, you know, these are the moon boot things, that phenomenon. And they're just like, oh, these are moon boots. So we should just have the Cybermen wear these. Oh, it's so silly. But it literally just looks like when they're all walking around and you see them all in their cyber Ugg boots, it just looks like, you know, like 8:30 or 9 a.m. on every college campus, like just just a bunch of young women in tights and Ugg boots going to class.
They got a latte and a scarf.
Yeah.
What was due today?
What was due today? I can't even.
Where did you guys go after I left? One of the main Cybermen, I had to look it up. He really sounded like Christopher Lee.
Oh, Cyber leader?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that one. And then I realized that Christopher Lee had never was in an episode of Doctor Who, and that made me sad.
Which is insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. Apparently, I accidentally did do a bit of research, but he was asked at one point, and his agent turned them down. And I remember the quote was like, I remember being so confused because like the guy was like, I love Christopher Lee, but you know, Christopher Lee doesn't have like a perfect batting average. Like, what I wonder, I don't know. I guess the agent, for whatever reason, at that point, Doctor Who didn't have that cachet. Maybe it was just old, you know. But that's a damn shame because he could have been literally a curator in a museum.
Really is too bad. I'm especially surprised that they never got him for New Who.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Ian
I don't know,
McKellen
I mean-
was the great intelligence.
I know. I was just gonna say, yeah, they got Ian McKellen for God's sake.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, yeah, it's crazy.
Maybe they could pull a Sky Captain and just use like archival footage of him or something.
The Gandalf intelligence. So, anyway, yeah. So we get this like a stairwell shootout as only Doctor Who can make, which is the Cybermen trying to walk upstairs while people shoot them, and then they just shoot them and kill everyone, and just make their way up the stairs. And it's a good time. It's just a real good time, you know.
The old turn and shoot.
Yeah. And the guy who accused them of being murderers has taken them to the bridge, where, you know, the captain, the older lady captain, just awesomeness, is basically telling them to sit in the corner and mind their own business, which is great. But he also steals Adric's gold badge and then throws it on the floor. Because he doesn't respect the maths, I think.
So I think of your maths.
Well, because the doctor is saying that Cybermen have a weakness, like are allergic or whatever. They react poorly to gold. And then Adric's like, oh,
right,
my badge is made of gold. And then the guy's just like, what is all this then? I'm taking that from you.
Yeah, but then he just throws it on the ground, like after he takes it. Which is ridiculous.
I have no respect
he throws
for
a
you
big
or your
fit
math.
about him like hiding it from him, and then he just throws it on the ground. It's very aggro, very Eric Sayward, this guy.
Yes.
And then we get some really cool stuff because basically Nyssa and Adric have switched places. So now Nyssa is like hanging out in the TARDIS. And Tegan, meanwhile, has taken up with like the first Arrow dude and his security team. And they're like sneaking around the caves, like taking out Cybermen. And like, there's this one really badass moment where the guy points out, like, they see the Cybermen and all the dead people, and she's just like, why aren't we going for them? And he's like, see all those people, they have our gun. They have the same kinds of guns that we have. And she's like, well, what does that matter? And he's like, they're all dead. Do you see any dead Cybermen? Didn't seem to really work out for them, did it? And then she does this awesome move where they distract the Cybermen, and she somersaults into a Cyberman, grabs the Cyberman gun and blows it away with his own gun. And it's like the most like Ripley that Tegan has ever been.
Yeah,
like,
because she's in like the jumpsuit with the...
Yeah.
It's so good. I don't usually like
it's
Tegan,
awesome.
but she's really good in this story.
Yeah, totally. It's really awesome. I love that. And then we get a Cyberman merged with a door. That was fun.
Like frozen in carbonite. Like
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And that's definitely where they stole it from. They're just like, oh, we should do that sometime, right?
That should
Star
happen
Wars?
to a Cyberman.
Yeah, we should do that. But yeah, they just like merge it with a door. That's how they stop the Cybermen from coming onto the bridge, is they just merge it with the door. Which is just so ridiculous. And then there's the bit with where Nyssa is talking about how they're like the person on the TARDIS with her is like, can't you can't you just take the TARDIS in and whatever, like, don't you know how to use it? And she's like, I mean, kind of, but like I wouldn't be able to do it easily, like I wouldn't be able to pilot it easily. And I was like, This is Cass's jam.
Yep.
This is what she likes.
Yep, it is. That's right. Nyssa's smart, but she's not as smart as the Doctor. Yeah.
Yeah. It's good.
I just hate it when people fly the TARDIS.
Oh yeah. But though in her defense, like, I do believe that if Nyssa and Adric put their heads together, I could buy them doing it together.
Yes, but not Tegan.
Not definitely not Tegan. She would only hurt. If she was in the room with them, they wouldn't be able to do it, I think. She would just complain and get in their way. Anyway. Yeah, but I do like that Nissa's like, yeah, I mean, I can't. I don't. I basically know how it works, but like I don't know that I'd be able to pilot it. And it would it's more trouble than it's worth. We could be lost in space and time forever. And they're like, oh, all right, okay.
Not so like now where you're in perfect control at all times.
Right.
Right. Yeah, totally. I feel like she could just ask the TARDIS very nicely to take them somewhere and it would just do it. But I don't know. Yeah, and then there's this really great bit that I think is like legitimately well directed where the Cybermen are releasing all of their Cybermen brethren on the ship that they've been hiding in storage, and so they're like bursting out of paper metal and everything. And Tegan's team is like walking their way through the storage compartment, storage warehouse, whatever of the ship where all the Cybermen are, but like they don't know that the Cybermen are in there, so they're just like walking through, and then all of a sudden, just like immediately, like 7 Cybermen just walk out from all sides of them, and it's like really instantly overwhelming and creepy. And I was like, that's pretty good. I liked that. I liked how they set that up. Like it just looked like they were in an empty space, and then all the Cybermen stepped out at the same time, and it's like, oh God, that's a lot of Cybermen. They all just run for it. It's good. Yeah, and then there's that one weird shot that ends this story where the cyber leader is like gloating to the Doctor about how many Cybermen they have, armies, and you get that shot of like,
oh yes,
that weird repetitive where it's like the same shot split screen 3 times. And I think we're supposed to think that they're 3 distinct lines of like Cybermen walking next to each other, but it's obviously a repetitive split screen. It's just,
yeah.
I was like, oh guys, that didn't work at all. It's like, oh no.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Anyway,
that's good old Whovian ingenuity.
Yeah. Well, again, it's that let's play with the new technology thing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm surprised there were never any star wipes on Doctor Who.
Oh man. Bring that back.
I'm kind of impressed that it takes till like halfway through episode 3 for the Doctor to realize what's going on. Because, like, the audience has the Cyberman reveal at the end of episode 1, but the Doctor's like, I don't really know what's happening until, like, the last episode. So, I like that. That's cool.
Yeah, that first confrontation they have is really cool, because, you do have that build-up.
Mm-hmm.
Right, totally. Earthshock, Part 4. Written by Eric Sayward. Directed by Peter Grimwade. Produced by John Nathan Turner. Script edited by Anthony Root. Air date 16th of March, 1982. The Cybermen fit a device to the ship's computer which locks it on course to collide with Earth. The Cyber leader then explains his mission. Several galactic powers are going to meet on Earth that day and hold a conference that will unite them in a war against the Cybermen. Their plan is to crash the antimatter-powered freighter into Earth, resulting in a blast that will devastate the planet. Tegan gets separated from Lieutenant Scott and his men and is eventually captured and taken to the bridge. To escape the freighter's collision course, the Cyber leader decides that they will escape the ship in the TARDIS, with the Doctor piloting. Captain Briggs, Berger, and Adric are left on board with a few Cybermen left behind. Luckily, Lieutenant Scott arrives and takes out the Cybermen guarding the bridge. Captain Briggs wants to abandon ship, but Adric believes he can override the device controlling the ship's computer. When he tries, the freighter unexpectedly warps backward in time. Tegan is relieved at this, believing the Earth to be safe, but the Doctor points out that Earth will still be destroyed. But with the crash happening at an earlier point in its history, the planet's whole existence will be nullified. Adric overrides another part of the control device, bringing the freighter out of warp, but still perilously close to Earth. Captain Briggs decides that it's time to abandon ship, but Adric is still determined to break the codes. Lieutenant Scott drags him into the escape pod, only for Adric to jump out at the last second and continue his efforts. Back on the TARDIS, the Doctor points out that they have traveled back 65 million years, at about the time the Earth collided with an object which killed the dinosaurs. Tegan realizes that the mysterious object was actually the freighter, and that rather than destroying Earth, the collision will form a key part of its history. While Adric continues in his efforts, Scott signals the TARDIS and informs them that Adric is still on board. The cyber leader decides to kill the TARDIS crew, but Tegan jumps on him and the Doctor breaks up Adric's gold-plated mathematics achievement badge into the leader's chest unit. The asphyxiating leader fires its gun aimlessly, damaging the TARDIS console in the process. The Doctor grabs the gun and shoots the leader, killing it. Adric is closing in on fully deactivating the control device, but is thwarted when a damaged Cyberman tries to shoot him. The shot misses Adric, but destroys the freighter's controls instead, leaving no chance of altering the freighter's course. The Doctor tries to save Adric, but the TARDIS console is too damaged. The Doctor, Nyssa, and Tegan watch helplessly as the freighter explodes, killing Adric and the dinosaurs. In episode 4, we basically get the reveal of the Cybermen's plans, which is they're gonna take this ship that has like an explosive on it, and they're gonna run it straight into the Earth and destroy the Earth because they're Cybermen and that's what they do. But they're gonna escape the ship before they do it and go about their way. They're just sort of like they want to like take the. They just want to take the ship and blow up Earth, sort of like on their way to do other stuff. Like they're just like, oh, this will be a fun detour. We should do this.
We're just passing through.
Here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is, I just love that.
It's like the equivalent of like being like high school kids that are like, hey, this is where the teacher lives. Like throwing something at their mailbox.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, they're gonna go egg the Earth and then egg and TP the Earth,
and then go smoking at Denny's parking lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Cybermen in the parking lot, honey. Let's go somewhere else.
Oh man. So basically, that's the plan, and the Doctor points out that they don't have like another ship to escape from. They're like, well, you came on your TARDIS, so we'll just take that. And he's just like, oh no. So they're like, all right, let's go. We're going to the TARDIS. This stupid math kid is going to stay on the bridge. And the Doctor's like, no, he has to come with me. And he's like, I need him to pilot the TARDIS with me. And he's like, no, you don't, you idiot. I'm not stupid. I know you don't need this stupid child to run the TARDIS. You do it yourself. And he's like, well, I mean, that's true, but I need him for moral support. And they're like, we don't care. And Adric's like, it's fine, just go. And he like kind of pouts again and then like shakes his hand and then he's like, all right, I'll see you guys later. Adios. And they all leave, and Adric is stuck on the bridge, and then him and the other people on the bridge, the other humans, they outsmart the Cybermen and take them out and trap them outside and everything. And then they're like, okay, we got to crack this code and make sure that this bomb doesn't go off and make sure that we can like escape this trajectory we have with Earth. And so one of the plans of escape that they're going to do is they're going to time warp the ship away from Earth. They're going to basically like time warp it, far enough away or whatever so that they don't crash into Earth. And then he's also going to be like trying to like shut down the bomb at the same time and everything. And he's doing that. And then he ends up time warping the ship 65 million years into the past. And the Doctor is just like, oh, we beat you. See, the ship is going to be the meteor that kills the dinosaurs. You've already lost. And the Cyberman's like, no, that makes sense. And he gets very upset. And Tegan's just like, but I don't understand what's going on. Which is I just love that. She's like, what is that? 65 million years ago. What does that have to do with anything? And the doctor's just like, think about it. And this is just
we were
like,
literally
it's
just
dinosaurs,
talking about it like an hour ago.
Yeah.
Like,
Nissa,
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah. Come on, Tegan.
Come on. Tegan.
This is like, remember the bones in the cave? Jesus Christ. And so the cyber leader is very upset. Adric is cracking the math code, but eventually the other humans on the bridge are like, we have to go. Like, this is going to crash into Earth, and we need to get on an escape pod and get the hell out of here. He's like, no, I can crack the code and we can save everything. And they're like, no, don't do it. And they pull him into the elevator. And then as the elevator doors are closing, he believes he realizes what the equation is, and he jumps out of the elevator at the last second and goes to fix his math problems, and then gets locked out. And there's this really sad moment where he just goes, oh, I guess I'll never know if I was right.
My
And I was
God.
like, oh man.
I laugh every single
then-
time, and I feel really bad about it, but it's so funny.
Yeah. Yeah. And then he kills all the dinosaurs. Adric murders all of the dinosaurs in cold blood.
Hey.
And probably a few of those green guys. What are they called?
Oh, Silurians. Yeah.
Yes, Lyrians.
Oh.
Yeah. You're probably right. He's responsible for that as well. Yeah. So he kills everybody, and then like meanwhile on the TARDIS, like the doctor has to take out the cyber leader, and he pulls out Adric's award for mathematical excellence, which he picked up off the ground when he left the bridge, and Tegan holds the Cybermen and he like jams it into like his breathing grid, and makes him like breathe up all this like gold dust, and he starts like hacking and stuff, and then he shoots him with his own gun, but not before it like the cyber leader is like shooting all over the TARDIS, and he messes up the console, so like the doctor can't even go take the TARDIS to the bridge to save Adric at
Yeah.
the last minute. He can't do anything. He's just stuck, and they watch him die and kill all the dinosaurs. I feel like I can't emphasize this enough. Adric, math boy, kills all of the dinosaurs.
Math man, Scott.
Math. No, he's a math boy. He's a boy.
He's a math hero is what he is.
That coincidentally, that's the name of the math game that he was playing to get himself home.
That's like the Superman to his Iron Giant. Is math hero.
Oh, super math hero.
Super math hero.
Oh my God.
I'll never
It's
know if
just-
I was right.
So this also came as a huge surprise to me when I first watched it.
Yeah?
I mean, I guess I didn't know he was gonna kill all the dinosaurs and die.
Yeah. No, he literally kamikazed into Earth, killing all the dinosaurs.
While the doctor and Nissa and Tegan like watch.
Yeah.
And it's just such a weird way to you know, I mean we've seen a couple of companion exits this round, and they've both have been like, yeah, you know, like I said, like someone leaving a party. Like, actually we're gonna take off, like it's actually where we live and make more sense of it. And this kid just like you know, crashes into the earth.
No, he maths himself to death.
He maths himself that he can't let it go.
Yeah.
He has to prove himself.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think thinking back to like Rory or whoever, you know, whenever we have a companion that's like, well, who are you? You know, how many people have died because of you? You know, the first image I'm gonna think is like, yeah, Adric frickin' flew into the earth because he wanted to impress. He wanted you to think that he was cool. He was a math cool kid.
Yeah. I remember last time I watched this story, I watched it with Bethany, my girlfriend. For those of you who don't listen to all of our other shows and hear me talk about her, she is taken to only referring to only referring to Adric as the rootinest, tootinest mathematician in the Wild Wild West because of his stupid award.
That is incredible.
Rootinest, tootinest mathematician in the Wild Wild West.
He's clearly a child.
Yeah.
And it's one thing if like Harry died, like keep going, old girl, I'll hold the door. That like that's something. But for like a character so infantilized.
Why did you make Harry into the character? Why did you make him into Hodor?
Oh no, just the most heroic thing I could think of.
Oh my god.
Oh god.
He just carries Sarah Jane around.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Oh man. Oh boy. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, and it's kind of it's all set up very well, but like at the last minute, they fumble the ending just a little bit because he just needlessly dies.
Yeah.
You just like oh man, there's just that last clue on the crossword puzzle, and I think I just figured it out. He just runs back in to do it and dies. Oh,
and it's a little, I guess it's heroic-ish. Like that's the worst thing. It isn't even like Peck's where it's like it is such a bold act of heroism and sacrifice.
Right.
You're like, wow, what a hero forever, for all time. But like with this, it's like I don't even know what to do. It's just a death. It's just
right.
I
mean, this has been his death has been I don't know that you consider it canonical or not, but sort of retconned in Big Finish Audio, because like the way that they brought Adric back into Big Finish Audio is that they explained that the Doctor accidentally creates a bubble universe that he went to, got older, and then reappeared in Victorian London randomly.
What?
And then that's how they find him. And he's like, oh yeah, no, after I killed the dinosaurs, I raised myself in a bubble universe, and now I'm back. And I'm here now with a deeper voice. Hi, everybody.
That's really funny.
Yeah, so.
Well, my Adric killed the dinosaurs and is dead.
Yes. I agree. That being said, I've long talked about my wishes for just an alternate, just like an Inferno Adric that's just like this like Cybermen killing, eye patch wearing crazy Adric with like a gold sword.
I'm of the opinion. See, my nega Adric is like a really dark version of Reed Richards. Ooh. Like he actually is a math genius, but he's become, or maybe like Dr. Manhattan, where he sees like the cold mathematical truth of everything, and it like distances him from humanity. But he still has his little math medal like on his chest, like.
I've always wanted Adric to sort of come back in New Who for some reason, like as like a bad guy. I don't know why.
Right. Well, yeah, he has kind of like a buddy from The Incredibles quality to him.
He does. He totally does. Yeah. He just like he comes back calling himself the mathematician.
I like that.
I know
you're not a Time Lord, you idiot.
Adric, you stupid idiot. Get out of here.
Fine then, I'll call myself the good boy.
The good boy. And K9 is just like...
Oh, no, hey, that's my thing.
Yeah.
Hey, whoa, I let a lot of stuff slide.
But you are not the good boy here. Anyway.
But yeah, man, it's heavy. I don't know how the Doctor doesn't bring it up anytime someone mentions dinosaurs.
I know. Dinosaurs. What if in Dinosaurs in the Spaceship, like 11 was like, there's dinosaurs on the... Oh, dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs.
Oh. Just like looks off longingly.
He still has the
Trying to be
badge in one
kinder.
of his pockets.
Yeah.
It's like charred.
He just like looks off longingly, like while riding on the back of a
Triceratops.
triceratops or something. Just sadly looking into the distance, thinking of Adric and maths.
The Doctor's Jason Todd.
It's true. It's true. Much like Batman can never look at a crowbar the same way, the Doctor can never look at a math equation the same way. Oh, Adric.
Oh, Adric.
Anyway, we're going to end this episode with 20 seconds of silence.
Oh, now I have to do that. So, anyway, look forward to that, everybody. All right. Well, I guess that's Earthshock. Man, this story's a lot of fun. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
It's
For
fun.
being a companion's death, it's a really fun story. Like
It's so weird.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
And the death kind of just makes it more fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yes, 100%. Makes it more fun. All right. Well, we will be back next week with Time Lash,
Woo.
which is Sixth Doctor. Our final 45-minute episodes, Sixth Doctor story, which I'm very much looking forward to.
Yes.
And unfortunately, this will not be the last time that we deal with the Cybermen this season, because that's what we're doing in 10th Doctor Town as well.
Mom.
When we get there. Yeah,
Travel
I
back
know.
to 2006, everybody.
Yep. So anyway, we'll see you next week with Time Lash. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.